Yeah, g'day guys. Today on the channel we're doing a bit of XJ Jeep loving. Here we go. '95 XJ Jeep. Just rolled into the garage here. It does run and drive. It needs some things to make it a little bit better. Clearly the paint job is awesome. So we're gonna do a bit of work on the old bonnet there. It's probably the worst. The rest there's no real bare metal or anything, but that's a few spots that we gotta tidy up. All the tires are good. The motor runs fine. Transmission doesn't shift when you put it into drive, it just goes straight into top gear, but you can manually shift it when you do, if you understand what I mean. Because on the this model Jeep, it goes down to 1, 2 and then 3, so and D. So if you put it in a D, it goes straight to 4th gear. That's got electronic overdrive. So we might do a transmission filter change and swap out some oil and then put a bit of conditioner or something in there. So we'll get to that. I've got a new dash surround. The old one's all busted and broken. Here's the old one. I got it the other day, so I just got to install it. I've got to install the rear wheel. That bracket there should be mounted over there somewhere. For some reason it's not. So I haven't actually done anything with this car since I bought it about a month or so ago. Just got it here and collected a few parts, and transmission's got to be done, well, a service on the transmission, bonnet's got to be done, and the brakes are shocking. Well, if you hit something I suppose you're shocking, but I mean the master cylinder and the booster are shot. Hang on a sec, I'll just open the bonnet and I'll show you. Yeah, the other thing with this vehicle which is not real good is this massive big stone chip in the old windscreen right on the driver's side. Bit of a pain, and in Queensland here we have to have no stone chips on the driver's side for it to be a registerable vehicle. Like I'm not planning on registering this in any in the short term, but I may down the track. Just want to tidy it up, have it ready for rego for when I do decide. It can be a backup vehicle for me or anyone or anything like that. Do have a nice big bull bar on it, which is pretty neat and tidy. It's not been banged up or anything. It's a bit hard to see with the sun there. Everything runs all right other than the brake though, which is a different video. Well, this is my first actual real Jeep that I've had, which is good and bad thing. Like for many years people were telling me, oh yeah, don't ever buy a Jeep, don't ever buy a Jeep, they're all junk, and yeah, okay, whatever guys. I've never really had a real four-wheel drive, so this is my first real four-wheel drive and I'm kind of liking it. I've done a fair bit of research. Well, when I mean research, I've looked on YouTube, so that's pretty good research. And this 4-litre, this year model, the 95, it's meant to be the high output or high torque or whatever engine being injected. Like a full injected engine, not because it's got injectors on every cylinder and not just a single injector through the throttle body, and it's not carbureted, so that's the extra bonus. So it does have an ECU, so there's inherent problems with that in time, I guess, but it's actually not a bad car. Like the body's relatively good, like it's not beat up or anything, it's not dented, there's no rust spots. The only spot is on the bonnet that I'm planning to tidy up. A couple little marks here, like might have been going through scrub or whatever to get that, but I might just clean that up and I don't know, spray a bit of something on it just so it doesn't go any further. It could get to worse, so I'll try and seal that, and once the windscreen's done, or once the windscreen's out. But overall it's pretty good old Jeep. XJs they made millions of them worldwide for the worldwide market. I'm not sure how many actually got to Australia or not, but there's still plenty around for us to buy parts for and things like that. The main reason I actually bought it
it was fairly cheap. It was under $1,000 for the complete car, was because my V8 Lancer post-apocalyptic vehicle project has a Jeep transmission, and this is the same as the Jeep transmission. I thought, oh yeah, I'll just buy the car and I'll have a spare transmission and things like that. I'll be able to use a shifter and for the Lancer project. But I kinda, once I got it home, I thought, it won't take too much to make it a nice car. And once they're complete, you can actually get a couple of $1,000s for the whole car. So I thought, why not just do a bit more work to it, and I've got a complete ready registered 4Rego vehicle. And it's a real 4-wheel drive, and I've never owned a real 4-wheel drive before, other than a little Subaru. But anyway, enough ramblings. Let's get into doing a bit of work, eh? Let's just give this thing a bit of love. Here we go. So the weapon of choice today to clean that bonnet up is a scrubber. I don't think that's the technical name, but the paint stripper, or rapid strip, I think it's called. There we go, rapid strip. So that's what they're called. Like when they're new, they're purple looking. So, but I mean, you can get them in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Like here's a little black one, just a cheapy brand, I think. And here's the Scotch Brite brand. These are for drill mount, and you can get into all sorts of little corners and things like that, which is really good. They don't tend to clog up as much as like a flappy wheel. Like this is a worn out one, but they tend to clog up, and with paint, and they don't strip anymore, they just smoke. And when there's too much heat on the sheet metal, it will warp it and things like that, which we really don't want on a body panel. So start stripping that back. I'll put it in time lapse. You don't have to have the drudgery of me stand there for hours and hours. So anyway, let's get into that. Here we go. all buzzed back. Still a little fadey green sort of bits there. That might just come off with a bit of light sandpaper or something. I had a bit of trouble with these little corners. I scratched out all the green paint. Looks like it's a little bit undercoat. I might have to get a bit of sandpaper or something in there. But the bonnet is now paintless on the top because it was really, really bad. In the center it was all crazy crack. That wasn't real easy to get out of there. Ended up using a little drill to get all the rest of it out. Quite difficult for the old grinder. It actually clogged up. So well, on that last little bit, on this last little run here, it started getting really clogged up. Might have been because the paint was just so thick and crappy, if that's the right word. Anyway, I will load this up into the old ute and take it over to AMC Restorations and see if Gary can put a little bit of colour on it. Black is a colour, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it is. Let's get back into something else on the Jeep. Here we go. One of the things that I want to try and do today in this video is this flaky sort of stuff around the outside. Well, that's the clear coat. Australia's climate is fairly harsh on clear coat, so if you just go like that, all the flakiness comes off. But what I'd sort of like it to do, other than doing a paint job, I want to try and take away where that line is so you don't quite see it as much. And what I've been told is you get a little bit of Scotch pad, like a light one. The grey one is apparently the best because the green ones are really harsh, and we know what the purple one just did to the bonnet. You just give it a bit of a rub without going too nuts, other than like that. You just give it a bit of a scratch there and it gets all the flaky off. I can't say that it's giving us a showroom finish by any means, but hey, that's not what I'm after. Is I just want all the flaky off. So it's sort of coming off. This is going to be a from afar it's going to look awesome. Up close, yeah, scary. Anyway, so I'll put you guys on a tripod and I'll just keep going around the outside. Won't take me too long. Like, it's not going to look shiny or anything like how the original paint is. It's not going to look that's like that would be wishful thinking. So, and this is the first time I've done this, so always gotta try something new, eh? We'll see if we can make it sort of look okay. Okay, I've scraped all the flaky bits off, you could say. And I'd have to say, with the Scotch-Brite level out of 10, and 10 being the best, I'd have to say not even a 1. I wouldn't say that Scotch-Brite is very effective at all. My fingernail, probably a 2. Got a bit more off. It was relatively effective, but from afar it looks like a great paint job. So I'd have to say the outside is done. Let's get on to something else. Okay, so we're going to service the transmission. So that means draining the oil. Well, there's a little drain plug. Drain the oil, and it also has a pan gasket because we've got a little bit there just coming out. So but what I really want to show you is my dodgy make it work fix for the week. So everyone needs a when you got a hoist, you want to drain your oil, right? So I've made up this it was an old office chair, and I put a bit of wood on it and I cut a drum out and a couple of zip ties. We have ourselves a fancy, oh, I mean that's fancy. What do they call it? Under hoist oil drain thing. Something for fancy people. Anyway, so it was a 99-cent funnel from Supercheap, and it'll work. So we just push it under the old hoist, under the old pan, and we'll pull the plug on that. And don't knock it. It'll certainly do the job. Anyone else got any quick, easy ideas? Just leave a comment below. I mean, that's pretty dodgy, but it'll do the job. Anyway, let's get and drain that oil. plan. But hey, that worked. Woohoo! Check that out. It's working like a treat. Except I'm making a mess. How's that for control? Woohoo! Okay, we're back. I was having a bit of trouble with trying to get, because this is the that's a dipstick tube, and it does have a separator right here, like with an O-ring, and it's meant to just slip straight out. But for the life of me, I couldn't separate it, so I had to drop the whole vehicle down again and unbolt the dipstick, the transmission dipstick holder at the top. So then it was able to let me drop it down to this level. So that's sort of all and good, but I wanted to get it completely out because we have another problem that I've got to try and rectify. Is here's the plug, and let me get it out on a bit of light here. If we have a look at it, focus, half the threads are missing. So I really wanted to get the pan completely out so I can just run a tap through it and put a new bolt in it, new sump plug. There's not many threads in there, so that's kind of why I was mucking around and not mucking around. I was having all sorts of trouble with draining it to start with, because if you have a little look-see inside, it's raised. Why, I don't know. So half of the fluid, well, not half, like probably the last litre of fluid wouldn't come out until I actually tilted it on its side. So I got all that out, and I was just checking the magnets, if I can get the torch to work properly. So there's not much gunge on there, that's sort of fairly normal. Same with that one. Like you give it a bit of a, yeah, it's just gunge. It's not metal filings or anything. It's not too bad, which is good. So all I got to do now is take that JB World type gasket that someone's used instead of the proper rubber one. I've got to clean the two surfaces, like this surface here, which it bolts up to. So I clean those two surfaces, work out, run the tap through the old bung to try and get it to work, and remove the filter, which is this big thing here. Well, it's not that big, because I've got the new one here. Here's the replacement, and it's not really that big. So like there's the size of my hand, so there's the bottom side. So I can just, it's only held on by 3 little bolts, so I'll undo those 3 bolts and swap that out, and then clean up the gasket surface, and we're away. So I'll get into that and then try and work out that sump plug. So here we go. Bit hard to see, but I've cleaned all the surfaces of where the gasket and everything goes, because the light under it's a bit tricky. Now check out this, I'm not sure if we'll get a good enough shot. Look at the thread in that hole there. How good is that? Yeah, well it's not. So I've got to run a tap through it. So here's the original. So she's pretty cactus, but you can see why. Well, I had to wrench on it all the way out, and then all of a sudden I had oil everywhere. So here's a 10mm metric, and I'm pretty sure, from what I can tell, the last thread or two that's left, that the 10mm metric is just the same. So I'm going to run a 10mm tap through it, and hopefully we're going to have a good enough, or what's left of, the thread. So I got the old tap in there. It's a 10mm, so that's what it's supposed to be, and it's nice and straight. I don't know if you guys can see that well enough. I've cleaned the pan, cleaned off the gasket material. Well, someone had put some gunk on here, which it doesn't need because you just got a normal rubber gasket. Maybe they tried to do a service without a gasket. Okay. But the service kit comes with a gasket. Anyway. So we have a new hole. Well, it's the same hole, but hopefully that's tidy enough. I'll try a bolt in there, eh? Oh, there we go. So we're all good. We have a replacement bung. I've just got to cut this bolt off so it's an actual bung. And put a copper washer or something on it. So that's fixed. Uh-oh. Out with the old, in with the new, and all that. So it's pretty easy. The surface point is only on here. Not sure if you can see that. So if I just put it up there, and if the holes line up, well, I guess that's where it's meant to be. I'm sure there's a spec for that, but I don't know, but that should be fine. Okay, we're ready to put the gasket on and we're away. Okay, so I've got a new rubber gasket. You don't need anything else. So I'm just going to smear a bit of Vaseline or petroleum jelly just on here to keep the gasket in place while I put it all up. There we go. So the petroleum jelly is just to keep it in place. One last check to make sure everything is clean and clear. After I move my dodgy oil thing out of the way. Look at the mess I made. Whew. That's all the gasket material, that's all the crud off the bottom of the pan, all the crud in the pan. Pretty much we've cleaned everything up. So anyway, now we can pop it all back together and put some oil in it, I guess. So here we go. Hopefully, without too much trouble. So I'm putting all the bolts through the little rubber gasket. So it's easier because it's sort of a tight fit on the rubber gasket. Okay, bolts are done, sump plug's done, the pan plug is done. Let's drop it down and put some oil in. Okay, so the Jeep's on the ground, yeah, on the ground. and I'm just trying to work out how much fluid to put back in it. You can see where the level is there. Like this tub was a 20 litre container, so if about there is half full, you'd have to think that's about 3 or 4 litres in there. If I put 3 litres in there, I should be fine. So what I've got a 20 litre drum of ATF, which is same as this stuff. So if I just put 4 of these 1 litres in there, I should have plenty. I might put 3 in and then see where it looks. So we'll start with that, and then we'll do the old dipstick, and then we'll do the old, you know, start her up and run it in neutral, get it warmed up, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get a bit of oil in there and see how it looks. Here we go. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. It's on the stick. It says it's just a bit past the full. I'm not sure if you can read that. It says cold, but I think that says in neutral. So anyway, we'll start her up and we'll see where it's sort of sitting, eh? Here we go. Okay, so the fluid is up. Well, it's hard to tell because it's so clean. It's clean, and every time I pull it out on the stick, there's plenty on it, and it looks like it's over the full mark. But I think we'll go for a little test drive. Actually, firstly, I will lift it up and make sure there's no leaks around the pan. So I'll do that first, and then we'll go for a little test drive. Let's do that. Okay. So there we have it. The Jeep is all back together, giving it plenty of love. So the bonnet's back on, mounted the spare wheel. It was just a couple of bolts holding it all in there, and I gave the back out a bit of a tidy up. Let me get it. I put all the dash surround in. It's all nice and tidy. That took me a little bit. I had to actually lower the whole steering column to fit it in there. It was a bit of a trick. Never done it before, so I had to undo all these screws along here, drop this whole panel down, and there was 2 big bolts that held all the steering column in place, so I had to lower it down, and then that surround fitted on a couple of screws and put it all back together, just like a new one. So went for a bit of a drive and got some fuel. So she's now all ready for a tour. She's neat and tidy inside, except for the hood line. Hood line's a bit sort of daggy, but if you're short, it's all good. It's only tall people have problems. Now the only other problem which I've got to rectify is that massive big bullseye in the windscreen there. Must have been from mowing the paddock the other day. From afar, it's great. So guys, what do you reckon? She's a little old beast. Not bad for under $1,000. That's complete with all the brakes and everything done. So she's got a bull bar and all sorts of other lovely things that, you know, 4 drives and Jeeps do. Drives alright, drives a bit like a boat, but that's okay, I'm just not used to that. Yeah, so if any of these little tips have been of any help to you, give us a thumbs up down there, give us a like, and consider subscribe, because there'll be a couple more videos on this car, but nothing extensive. So guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.